Howdy, I'm Cyberax with Outlandishly Crafted. And today, really quick, we're going to make ourselves a dog. We're going to make a dog. Had a request for a dog, so we're going to make a dog. Okay, so we're going to start with bone. We're going to do this root. That's the root. And then we're going to do this guy. We're going to do like a body, right? We got to have that. And we got to have a head. We need a head. And then we need a right leg. Oh, the right leg's not in the head though, right? Right leg's in the body. Okay, right? All those look good. So that's the basic idea. So let's delete these guys and let's just start with our first one. So let's start with a body. So we need a body. So we put a box in there. And oh no, my numbers aren't. Sorry, I'm used to using my different programs. I've been doing more stuff in Unreal Engine than in here. Okay, so we need a base body, right? So we got a nice base body. Now we're going to move it up, right? There we go. So next we need a head. So we're going to grab this guy, move the head. And let's see, let's put him. Of course, you could make the head bigger or smaller or whatever you want. It's all up to you. Maybe this is a lion, maybe it's not. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to hold control and click so those aren't a full block, so he's not so pudgy. Okay. There we go. Right? And then in the head we probably want like, you know, an ear. And we'll put a cube in there. We grab this guy. Move him over. Maybe like there. And then we can also change his color, right? And then we'll duplicate him. And that's probably, actually, before we duplicate him, let's probably make him, I don't know, like a little smaller, right? And then maybe just, I don't know, maybe I want my dog. I'm kind of more like a Bob Ross type of guy, so I kind of like to do my own thing, you know? So maybe my dog has got ears like that. I don't know. And then you can duplicate and flip. Okay. And then we want to say that is the left one. Right? So there we go. So now I have some ears. The ears are in the head. You can always test it by making it go disappear. And to make sure we have this guy in centered, we can hit this one to center the pivot, and that's what we're going to rotate and animate on. So if we take this guy, you can see that's how he's going to rotate then. So we can even start him down like that. And then on the ears, we can center them. Notice I'm clicking on the bone, not the actual cube. And then this guy is, this pivot tool will let us move the ear how we want. So we can, or it let us put the pivot point where we want. And I probably should have done this before I duplicated it, but it's fine. So you can see, so now when this guy rotates, he rotates from that lower point, and then that way we can also then take the ears and move the ears up just a little so they're in like a more listen position. So now they're up. so now let's jump back down to the body. Let's create another one for the tail. So we need a tail, and let's put a cube in there. And then let's take the tail and let's move him to the back. And then we want the tail to be something like that. And then we'll do rotate, click out, and then move it just in a little. Because the tail should, you know, the butt of the dog goes down. Let's see, let's look at a dog. You gotta love it, you gotta love it. So Minecraft does the tail down. So here's like a low poly dog. So you can see right here we start to go down. So we're doing like extreme low poly, right? So you could even set this more down like that, and then maybe bring it out with this guy, this guy, and then bring him down. And again, I'm holding control while I'm doing the micro movements like that, so I can just get them more micro set. Now we're going to set another group, and we're going to say tail mid, and then in it we're going to put another cube, you know, and then this way you can bring this down. Oops. Let's grab the whole thing. Let's move this guy. Let's center him, and then let's move the pivot tool up to here. So now when we rotate him, he's rotating like that. Now you can see, because we've got that top, we really want the pivot tool to be right at the tip there. And then when we rotate, oh, we need to go down more. So let's line that perfectly up. Let's go up in there. So now we've got the base of our tail. So let's take this guy. We can make him just a little bigger. Then you could bring him down a little. And then if you want, you could put in a tip, like a tip tail, so that you could have it like bend this way for the end. So we'd say duplicate, and then if we flip to global or to bone or to local, oh, none of those are in. That sucks. So we need to put that in there. There we go. And then this one we're going to call lower or low, whatever. And let's go back to this guy. So of course he's too big. Whoop. So let's make him smaller. Now we want to, he should shrink down, probably like that. You could even move him in a little. And then this guy's go boom. We put the pivot point back where we think it's going to be, probably about there, so that if he pivots in, it's no big deal. Let's actually move him out to like there, and then move that pivot point right up against it. Oh, damn it. Keep hitting. This is tail. Tip. Or lower, either way. probably make this just a little bit smaller so it's not like dragging on the floor. Okay, so there you go. And then just really quick, we pivot point, pivot point, pivot point. So if we're up here, we grab all of it and we tilt. So we need to move this last pivot point up right against that hip bone. So now if we rotate, we're getting that. So your max rotation would be about there. If you want to have max rotation like there, or further, then you just need to make this guy wider, like that. So then now when you grab here, remember all the animations and rotations are based off the pivot point of the bone, not the cube. So there you go. So then you could go this far up. But then you can't go down like that without it going through. So those are all the things that you kind of have to think about just in your design of how do you want the design to be, and how is the movement of the animal going to be affected. And so some of this, what I highly suggest is you build it and then you put it in the game and you test it and you just look at it, and then you animate it and you put it in the game and you test and you look at it and you go back and forth on that for a little while. And then once you get to where you're happy with it, how it's in the game and everything, then you texture it at the end. Okay, so then we've got that pretty good. We're at 12 minutes, so I'm just over a little bit. We're going to go back to the body. We're going to add in a new group, and then this one could be leg, left, and then we add in a cube, and we're going to take this guy, and we're going to move him over, somewhere like that. And then we want to make him bigger. And this is where if I was doing this, I would do a bend. So I'd probably do a few things. I'd probably go up like this, and then I would I would rotate it. It just depends on how poly you're doing it, or how low poly, I guess you'd say you're doing it. Okay, and then we'll drag. We can switch this to, I don't know why that's not switching to local when I ask him to. Okay, so this is upper, and this would be lower. And then we're gonna drag him down. And then this one, you'd probably bring it back out so it's straighter. Bring it down, and then something like that, right? And then same thing, we're gonna grab our pivot tool, and we're just gonna move the pivot point to wherever you want the animation to rotate from. So in this case, probably pretty centered to that one. So if you click here, dang it, too many programs that go between. If you click here and we rotate, then that's the rotation you're gonna get. And if you don't want it to show the edge there, then you can just push the leg up a little and in a little, and then when you're rotating, you're not seeing any edges. And then from this part, from the second leg, then you've got the rotations is like that. So same thing, if you don't want to see that, you can just move it in one, and then make sure you still have your pivot point where you want it. Let's change the color of this guy to be something different. So we can see him. There you go. So now that lower leg is going to go like that. And so that's kind of your limits right there to right there. Or you just need to, I mean, one simple solution would be just to make this guy skinnier, you know, and even skinnier here or something, so that you've got more rotation then between them. There you go. So then now that we have this leg and we're happy with it, we're going to duplicate it and then flip it, right? So now we have two. And we just go through really quick on this one and we say this is now R and this is now R, right? And they're both in the body, which is in root. So if I move the body, legs go with it, right? If I move the head, the legs don't move. If I move the tail, the legs don't move, because those aren't dependent on each other. So this is how the hierarchy, and think about it in your body, how your body functions, how your bones work on each other. Your finger doesn't move your head. Your shoulder goes to your elbow, that goes to your wrist, that goes to your finger. So now that we have these, we can duplicate them again, and then we can just hit the move and move them to back. And you can kind of decide like where you want them to go. So same thing, probably have the back legs rotated like that a little. And then you could say back, right, and back, right? And same thing. And probably what I would do also right here is I would just stretch this a little, so the back leg looks like it's just a little bit bigger. And you do that before we duplicate it. So then we're going to duplicate it again and flip back to the other side. Okay? So now we've got our animal. We're pretty confident that we've got our pivot points set up. And if you do it while you're doing your modeling, then it's a lot easier down the road. But you could do one and then the other. It doesn't matter. So now we've got that. So now we're going to jump over to animation. We're going to add a new animation for, let's say, idle, and then walk. Okay. So right off the bat, let's just do walk. So we have what things do we care about when we're walking. So right off the bat, we care about the legs. So I'm going to move that one off, and then I'm going to start with, we want the body, and then we want leg upper, leg lower, leg upper, leg lower, leg upper, and so on. Okay. So now we're going to take this guy, and I'm going to start with this guy, and I'm going to set the position and set the rotation. Beautiful. Okay. And we want to be back in this same position at the end of this. So we're going to set both of those by copying and pasting them, this to there. And all that's in here is just nothing. It's just zeros, right? And then about just a little bit in, we want to take and we want to rotate one way, and then we want to rotate the other way. Okay? So we have this way, and then that way. And you can already see, you're starting to see it, just the walk right there. I mean, you don't even have to like do much because you're already starting to see it. Where's loop these days? Loop. Okay. So let's see how we're doing. Oh, yeah. And I did a little bit on a little more on one side than the other. Okay. So now let's do the same thing. Let's take our upper and let's copy it on both sides. And let's go into the inside. And which way are we on? So we are, let's see, so it's forward on the left. So this one would be back. So we're going to take this guy and move him back, this guy, and move him back. And because I didn't, I'll just go ahead and paste zeros on all of these so that they're all set to 0, which is perfect. That's where we want them. So now you can already see, oh, there we go. And then if it, depending on the animal and how they run, they all run differently. So it depends on your animal. They say they match together. So together. Then we go to the opposite side, and then we go back, up, way up, and then they're opposites. Oops, too far. So we saw that corner. Opposites. We don't want to go further than our corner. Okay. And then we grab these and we copy them there. So right away now we have, oh wait, something's not, we didn't finish, oh there we go. So you saw how that was popping? Here, I'll play it again. See how that's popping? That's because I didn't put at the end it back to 0. So we're doing a loop. So we start at 0, we do something, we go one way, then the other. So we're rocking, and then we go back. So there we go. So now we've got it both sides. Okay? So now we're going to pop over here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start at 0. We're going to go here, and now you can see that these then should be back, and this guy should be forward, like that. And we go to here, and we move this guy in, like that, and this guy in, like that. And then we take all of theirs, and we fill them in. There we go. So there's a basic animation. So now, really quick, since we're here, let's put our head together, and let's say when we go this way, the head will rotate like that a little, and when we go this way, the head will rotate back a little, and then it will end back at regular. Okay, so now same thing with our tail. When we start here, we're going to go, we need to track the way. So we're going to go this way, so we'll rotate that way and this way just a little. And it's less movement at the top, more movement at the bottom. And then we go back the other way to here, and there's very little movement. Okay. And then when we grab this one, we do the same thing. So we start with zeros, and we go, oh, we're going this direction, so we're going to go out and rotate just a little. And then we go back, so we're going to go back this way, rotate just a little, and then same thing, copy 0. Then back here, same thing, 0, 0. We get to here, we're going to go more, we're going to come back, we're going to go more, and then we're going to go back to 0. Now, if you want to make this feel just a little bit better, then and you can do it two ways. You can blend it with the animation controller, which will just help blend between them. But the other option is right here you can just give a little bit less on the side. So when you're doing these more extreme movements, you can add just a little bit more to them. So see how it just kind of like goes a little bit faster, and you can just kind of tweak it. Okay, so now we've got our basic movement for a dog. And then we save it into our animations. Then you have idle, and idle could just be, so you could take, so one thing we could do is we could add another bone here. We could say chest, put body in chest. So now I can hit chest and I could say I want my chest to go from 1, sorry. So it's 1. And then I want him to go 0.02 maybe. We'll just have to try it and see. So X is out. We don't want it to go up we don't want it to go up very much. And we don't want it to go long at all. So something like, let's make these back to 1. So we go bigger, and then we go 0.9998, and 0.98. Go. Ah, dang it! That's my bad. You need to click it first. 1.02, 1.0. Okay. Totally my fault. So we have get bigger, get smaller, and then I'm going to copy get bigger, go back to normal. Let's see if we can see how that looks. There you go. So once again, let's loop it. So that's more like a run, and we want an idle. So we should take this out, and then we should just separate them like that more. That's still pretty fast. So what we could do is we could spread it over 2 seconds. And remember, it's typically like, so it'd be longer, and then, so in, and then like more of like a fast out, and then a clear, and emptying, so hesitation, and then a reset. Oh, son of a, why did I do that? These don't have to be separate. They can be the same. That's my bad. I just haven't been using this program a lot, so that's all on me. Okay, so let's play this. So now we've got in, out, in, out. Yeah, so there you go. Now, we also want the tail to do something, right? So let's do back and forth, and then to 0. Let's see how that looks. One, we need to drop down the tail right there because it's getting small, so you see how it pops through. So we're just gonna move down so the tail's moving with it just a little, and then we'll go back to regular. And then you would do the same thing for these. So you'd say over, so we go this way, and then we come back this way just a little, and then back to zeros. And you could speed this up by just adding more movement to it, or, I mean, there's lots of ways to speed it up, but if it's too slow for you, then you can just make the movements bigger. If you don't want the movements bigger, then you could do it by a second versus by 2 seconds and speed up the breathing. So you start seeing we got some breathing movement, we got this guy, and then we probably need the head. So we got the head, and let's say like, yeah, we could look up, and then we could go. Now the problem with doing the head is you don't, since it's a loop, you really don't want very much movement at all. So we'll just do a very small amount and see if it's okay. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it depends. If I was doing an NPC, then I'd do a really long idle, or I'd do a whole bunch of them randomized, so that it would look at you, and then it wouldn't look at you, and then it'd do different things. So there you go. That's pretty much setting up all these basic things. If you were gonna do sit, then or lay down, or sit or whatever, and you do the same thing, you would just pick it out. Most of the time I do my animations at a second. So you'd say bend the legs up. Oh, shoot. And sit's different. So you have sitting, or you have they're already in the sit position. So you kind of have to decide, is this sitting, so they're going to sit for a little bit, and then they're going to get back up all in one animation, or are they already just in this sit pose? If they're in this sit pose, then you don't start at 0. You would just go ahead and put everything where you want it. You know, maybe their tail is out to the side, and then like up some, and you could move it down a little just so it doesn't do its thing. And then you could either take olive root and you could do it like that, and so you like drop it down, and you just got to keep working it until you get the right angle to where they're on their butt. Or you could use body and do it as well, either way. So like here we would rotate the feet up so they're not going through the ground, and then the tail will go up a little, tail go up, oops, tail go up a little, tail go up a little, and then there you go. So that would be sit, and then you would do duplicate. You do from that one, you duplicate sit idle, and then in sit idle you take like the head, and you do the same thing where you'd say, okay, well, they're gonna look down for a second, and then they're gonna go like right a little bit, and then up, and then you're gonna put that back there, and then maybe like the tip of the tail's wagging, like that tip, just like, I want to do something, I want to do something, like a dog does. This kind of looks like more like a cat, but whatever, you know. So then you got, and the same thing, we're gonna loop it. Now this one, if you're using an animation controller, then this one you could do hold on last frame, or you could loop. It doesn't matter because you're gonna play them together. So that one's always going to be the same anyways. So now you got sit idle. And that head's too much there. Whatever, but you get the point. I would make these way less, like 1.5, and maybe these are just zeros. There you go. So that's a little bit better. And then same thing, if you want to add, more to it, I'd put eyes in there, and I'd have the ears move a little, and I'd move them back, and then maybe one moves forward when the other one doesn't. Maybe this one's like there, and then same thing. You go back to zeros, back to where they start, and now their ears are kind of wiggling, or maybe they're listening to something or whatever. So then you save it, and there you go. And then to do all of the next stuff, you would go watch one of the guides for how to put it into your game. So I was a little bit longer. I went into a lot of detail, a lot of different parts. I mean, the original wolf and dog don't have two parts here. They don't have tail parts. They don't have all of the different things. So I'm giving you a lot more. So the next steps, I would go in and I would put this in the game. I'd test the animations, and get it all going. And once you're happy with all of it, then I'd go back and make the texture and paint it up, put a face on it, and do all of the other stuff. So there you go. I'm CyberAx with Outlandishly Crafted, and this has been how to make a wolf dog thingy, cat animal thingy, and animate it and stuff. So there you go. Check out my website. Help me on Patreon. I still don't have any followers. Come over and give me some money to help pay for food and shit so I can keep doing this. Check out my games if you can. Dragonfire. Check out my website, outlandishlycrafted.com. Thanks for watching, and check out those other guides. You know what to do.